Hey all, welcome to Filmsuck, a Patreon podcast in which we ponder the work of art in the age of crap cinema. I'm Eileen Jones,
I'm Dolores McElroy.
and today we are dealing with talking about the Steven Spielberg film, the new blockbuster, Disclosure Day. And it's his return, as almost everyone knows who goes to the movies, to sci-fi alien invasion kind of action adventure films, which he's done several times in the past. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that's 1977. E.T. the Extraterrestrial, that's 82, and War of the Worlds, that's 2005. And Spielberg's well known as a big major believer and really he knows everything about this topic. He's seen everything, he's read everything, so he's really he's really got an investment, and he's really a believer. Okay, so what is this movie about? Quickly, sorry, it's hard to encapsulate it that quickly, but I'll do my best. It's about a whistleblower named Daniel Kellner, played by Josh O'Connor, who's in everything and is good in everything, but cool. So he is on the run from the evil, deep state shadow corporation called Wardex, where he was employed, and he's got the entire archive on computer file of all human alien contact going back to Roswell. It's all the government / military files going back to the Roswell incident, the notorious one of 1947. So he's got all of that in a backpack. He's on the run, being chased by Wardex goons sent after him by the sinister CEO, whose name is Noah Scanlon. That's the Colin Firth character. It's quite a good cast, very, very talented cast. Okay, so he's on the run trying to get to the whistleblower safe house of all the defectors who have left Wardex before him. And they're all being shepherded by a character named Hugo Wakefield. That's the Coleman Domingo character. So he's trying to get there while being, chased all over the map by these basically men in black, these goons. One plot twist is that the Wardex goons have gotten a hold of his girlfriend Jane. That's Eve Hewson. And they're trying to use her initially as leverage to get him to give up the backpack. Okay, the other major character is her name is Margaret Fairchild. That's the Emily Blunt character. She's in Kansas City, and she's a quote unquote weather bunny. She's wearing the skin tight dresses and being super attractive while she does a cutesy version of the weather report at this television newscast station. But out of nowhere, she develops an uncanny fluency in multiple languages, including Russian, Korean. She develops scary psychic abilities. And when she goes on to give, the latest, weather report, she starts speaking in tongues that aren't any human tongue. They sound like alien tongues. So that was, yes. There you go. Dolores does the little Margaret Fairchild imitation. I'm simply wearing a tinfoil hat to represent the obsession with aliens and trying not to let them, penetrate your brain and whatever you do with your tinfoil hat.
Yeah.
Anywho, so I think so. It's basically for much of the movie, it's just an extended chase scene at complex levels of multiple characters, two characters, one trying to find the other. Margaret Fairchild has in her mind she has to find somebody named Daniel Kellner somehow. He's on the run, she's on the run. They're being chased all over the map. So until you get to the last quite lengthy set piece, where the whole movie sort of comes to a stop, it's chase throughout. And I think that'll do until we get into more details when we're just talking. So, before we start, please note, as always, and especially important here because it's a big blockbuster, we're going to tell everything. Spoiler alert. We're going to talk about everything. So, don't come whining. If you haven't seen the movie yet, go see it and then listen.
They
All
know
right.
the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's get into what we think. So, Dolores, as always, you get to go first. What did you think?
Okay. Well, first of all, my cover story is that a piece of stained glass fell on my face last night, but
Poor girl.
really, I was abducted, and the aliens implanted in me the knowledge that they carry with them.
Oh my God, and it's almost right at your third eye, too.
It
So
is.
wow.
Thank you. Yes. True to alien custom. So, anyways, I was so confused by this film. I'd say I generally found it pleasurable, but there were times where I was kind of like almost disbelieving at how straight ahead nostalgic Spielberg it was. I was like,
Mm.
huh, can we really have this? Do we really have this? Like, is this palatable at this moment in time? I just, there's a lot of schmaltz, there's a lot of nostalgia in a Steven Spielberg
Mhm.
film. So that was sometimes took me out of it. And
Mm.
we'll talk about the ending, especially
Yes, the
when
ending.
they rebuild Margaret Fairchild's home. But the
Mhm.
most pleasurable parts for me are Emily Blunt,
Mhm.
whose acting is so good and makes it
Mm.
so enjoyable. And this runs through Spielberg's work. There's often like an eeriness or, something like a little occulty in
Mhm.
many of his films.
Yes.
So she brings it to this film. And she's so good at when she gets her psychic powers, and she affects this voice. It's not just an American accent, which she has throughout the film, but there's this like she does almost different voices for
Mhm.
each psychic reading she does of each different character in the film.
Mhm.
And it's very uncanny. It's a
Mhm.
little bit, I mean, at first you're not sure if it's evil or not, or at least I wasn't.
Mhm.
I was like, is this going to be like The Exorcist where like a demon,
Yeah.
pretends to be the priest's mom or whatever? But she's not evil, but it's so fun to watch her, and you're just waiting for her to be like weird again.
Mhm.
So she was to me, like the most important driving character. I really love Josh O'Connor. I like him in many films, and he
Mhm.
does sort of like hapless um guy on the outskirts of the law very well. He
Mhm.
frequently plays this character. In fact, speaking of Spielberg, he played like an Indiana Jones type in two films recently.
Mhm.
One more well, I guess it's slightly more glamorous. He was in La Chimera by Alice Rohrwacher, where he's basically like a guy with a talent for finding tombs. Very, very
Mhm.
Indiana Jones. And he robs them for profit, but then has kind of like a change of conscience.
Mhm.
And then in another film by Kelly Reichardt recently, he's kind of like a ham-fisted art thief.
Mhm.
So he's often kind of like a charming thief. Um, in this film, he fell flat for me. I found him boring, even though I like him so much.
Mhm.
I didn't dislike it when he was on screen, but compared to Emily Blunt, even though they're kind of brother sister pair, not literally, but they're paired in the film. Their talents and their relationship to the aliens are complementary.
Mhm.
Um, and I get it. He's kind of a foil to her in that she's so strong and so sharp, and he's such a soft boy. But yeah, I found his performance like a little flat. And Eve Hewson, who I just read today, is Bono's daughter.
Oh
Um,
god, I didn't know that.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She looks familiar. Like
Yeah, I've
she's
seen her in something, and I don't know what.
yeah. She
Yeah,
kind of looks like Rachel Wise a little bit,
a little bit. Mm.
But the whole time, and it's not like I thought she was a bad actor. I did not. I thought she was pretty good, but like I just found her unappealing in a way I cannot account for.
Mhm.
It might have been but it was kind of interesting because she's not the typical like Spielberg blonde, like in all the Spielberg and many of the certainly in the Indiana Jones
Mhm.
movies, there's always like some almost like Hitchcock blonde. She's
Mhm.
not that. She's the opposite. She's got dark hair and big eyebrows, and but she was like a little greasy the whole time.
Mhm.
I was just like, this is off-putting.
Mhm.
That's a me problem, but it was like not fun to watch.
Mhm.
And then there's this whole thing that runs throughout it that I think they could have done completely without. Like, okay, one of the central moral questions is, should humanity have this knowledge? It's almost a question of belief in humanity. Like, are we equipped to deal with the idea or proof that there is another species that seems, more intelligent than we are out there? And then there's so fine, fair question, and this is the primary sort of like moral debate is who has the power to say what humanity knows.
Mhm.
Should the government have that power? Should certain select people, or should people just have a do people have the right to know this truth of the universe?
Mhm.
Fine. I find that very interesting. What I thought was like misguided and weird is this whole Christianity bit.
Yeah.
Like the Eve Hewson character, it turns out, was a novitiate. She was almost a nun. and there's a weird Christian theme for a Spielberg movie
Mm.
that runs through this, that I have never once thought of as a debate. Apparently, it's some big deal, but the idea is that it would challenge people's belief in God if we knew that aliens existed. I don't see why.
I
That's
don't
like,
either. I was
yeah,
completely baffled. Like, I sort of could see how there are some people, probably evangelical Christians, who
yeah,
would have this idea, but it never occurred to me this was a thing.
right.
You can just imagine Pope Leo going, "What?
Yeah,
Why? How does
yeah.
this what?" Mm,
It
carry on.
it doesn't, and the movie provides an answer for that. It reconciles those things at the end, but
Mm,
it sets up this big, like, Christian humanism versus I don't know what, aliens, like, debate, that I
it
don't
doesn't
think
even
that
seem like it's science versus it doesn't seem like that. I kept
it's
thinking
not.
somehow this isn't fitting the science versus religion thing. It
I agree.
so it's religion versus what? Knowing stuff. I
Right,
don't know.
right.
Oh,
Yeah, so that
anyway.
didn't work, and that was given, like, a lot of weight. The cross becomes, like, using the cross as a way to hurt herself becomes Eve's way, not Eve, sorry, what's the chick's name?
Oh, Jane, sorry, Jane.
Jane's way of, fighting the government. The government has a way of diving into her,
Mhm. And
consciousness,
taking her over and making her
taking over her
a
mind.
minion of Wardex kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and she at some points, like, digs the crucifix or, like, a cross that she has on a chain
Mm,
into her hand, because it's kinda like, I don't know if enough adrenaline runs through her system, I guess. She can kind
yeah.
of, like, shake the spell. Um, that made no sense to me. Then
Mhm,
I just didn't feel the stakes of that, and honestly, I'm super susceptible to, like, Catholic shit in movies,
mm,
but I was like,
mm,
"This doesn't seem like a thing." And I can't care.
mm,
So, that was a weird element that did not have to be there. I think we could have left it at the aliens actually have something to tell us, so the movie says, which is that empathy and cooperation are the way to survival, not Darwinian survival of
mhm,
the fittest. And I was like, okay, I'm in. Great. That sounds great. That's
mhm,
enough of a moral question. We don't need to
mm,
put this weird will people stop believing in God thing in here.
mhm.
Um so that was kind of odd. I did really enjoy the chase scenes. There was something really old-fashioned and fun about them, and some of them I gotta say, throughout the movie, though, and maybe and this was pleasurable in its sort of, like, ham-fistedness, the protagonist would escape, but the, like, FBI or the cops would be, like, right there, like,
There,
feet
this is
away.
repeatedly I kept thinking, it's like Spielberg and he really is far too in touch with his inner 10-year-old. He has
Yeah,
the imagination of a 10-year-old. It's like, "I'll just hide behind this fence that gives me no coverage." It's wide open slats, and there's, like, bushes growing, but they're all leafless, so there's
yes!
no so all the 25 agents, one of them just has this glance peripheral vision, and they're gonna see him.
Yeah,
There's
but they
another
know
scene where he and Jane hide behind a rock. Where they
exactly!
would have scoured every and it's just like, that is so it's the most implausible goddamn
Yes, and when Jane escapes from a hotel room, once again, there are like 30 agents there, and
thing.
she's behind like a single tree and then runs through like a sparse woods.
It's
You're like, I
hilarious.
think someone's gonna notice this
Someone's gonna
girl.
see that. They're all looking, and
Yeah,
someone's gonna turn around. It's just like, what?
it was so
Hilarious.
weird.
Hilarious.
Anyway, that was fine. It's fine. I don't mind. And I loved how, like, not slick it was, and it
Mm,
reminded me of Indiana Jones. There's especially this one sequence where one of the FBI guys is trying to push the protagonist. It's Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt now, and they're at a railway stop, and a train
mhm,
is going by, and this FBI agent is trying to push their car into the path of the train, and
yeah,
how they manage to skirt that is like kind of awesome. And it's just like really old school,
yes.
and it's
It's
so
literally old school.
yeah.
It's Spielberg, and he does a one of those New York Times, what do they call it? Analysis of a scene, recreation of a scene, whatever,
Oh,
anatomy of a
really?
scene.
Yeah.
And he took it from his own movie. Duel, way back in '71, only he had the truck there's a giant truck terrorizing a man played by Dennis Weaver in a sedan. That's the whole movie. So
Okay.
again, it's a chase movie, but it's
Yeah.
harrowing. Harrowing!
Huh.
Quite rightly put him on the map. But anyway, and so he's pushing him, but it never pushes the car all the way into the train. He's like, I'm going to do the realization of that scene. I'm going to put the car into the train where it seems like they couldn't possibly survive, and
Yeah.
they've got to get out of that too. So it
Yeah.
was very satisfying in that way. It's really, even though it's a little bit, really, you're gonna go back and do your own version of your own film. Okay, I
Yeah.
guess he's earned the right. But carry on. Yes,
No, that's so
great.
I love that because
That
it
was the
was
great.
really
It was the greatest, probably the tensest, most effective, crazy scene that he did. Yeah.
it was wonderful and like
Mm,
sheer joy, and there are a couple chase moments that are just great.
mhm,
So that was fun and it doesn't have I mean even though he's Spielberg and he can certainly, do a chase scene, it's refreshing. It lacks the slickness of like Born Identity.
mhm,
Like somehow even though he invented the idea of in a way like corporate filmmaking or at least what I think of is like this, it's not
mhm,
corporate the look of the thing. Um,
mhm,
it's kind of loose, and that's fun. But I don't know. At the end, I guess I was somewhat moved, and um, what's a sad thing is that one of the motivating factors for the whistleblowers is that the government is torturing the aliens and has
mhm,
like a long history of it. And the aliens are humanoid, even if they're not human.
mhm,
They've got a head and they've got two arms and two legs. So of course we have some like empathy for them.
mhm.
Um, and I just thought to myself, like, oh, people would never risk their lives because people were being tortured. I was like,
Yeah.
people are being tortured every day. No one's
Mhm,
risking their lives for them. So that sadly seems somewhat implausible to me.
mm.
So, I don't know. Eileen, what did you think?
Well, we're in the same ballpark with some slight differences. Love the chase. I love chase. I love chases, and I think you know that was a staple, notorious staple of silent cinema to the point that people complained about it. And Charlie Chaplin was like, "Does every movie have to end in a protracted chase scene?" Well, the answer was yes,
Yeah.
and there was a reason. It's so kinetic in the moving picture, which moves, moves, moves. It's so built to do movement, at
Yeah.
least as one way of just doing a sensational experience.
Yeah.
So I was delighted. I was like, I hope the whole goddamn thing is. In fact, for me, where the whole thing just comes apart is where it stops being a chase movie, and we
Uh-huh.
finally get to it where we're gonna have the big conclusion. And oh, you want to talk falling flat? I mean, wow. I mean, literally, it's like they don't have an ending, but they act as if they do. I
Yeah.
go, Blarg. It's just a level of really, I sat here for an hour and 45 minutes to get here.
An
Good
hour and
God.
45 minutes. Wasn't it like a million? It was longer than that.
Oh no, I'm not. You're right. What I'm saying, it's 145 minutes. So,
Yeah, that was
two
like
hours
almost an
and
hour and a
yeah,
half. Yeah.
25. Two
Yeah.
hours 25. Yes. So
Yeah.
it's quite long. It's quite long. It's too long. You're right that there's stuff that can go. And I also found the whole she's such, Jane Ms. plot device. It just becomes appalling where she's suddenly like, well, I'm an ex-nun and I lost my calling, but not my faith in God. And now
Yeah.
I'm here to haul in this plot, this plot line. And it just
Yeah.
is so awkward. It comes out of nowhere.
Totally.
I felt so sorry for her, the actor going, really, you have to bear this stupid burden. Oh God.
And there would
And
be
it
like
just
two female leads, and you're like, where am I supposed to put my caring?
yeah. And maybe it could have worked if it had been developed somehow differently, but I don't know, they didn't really have time, I
Yeah.
guess. But you could just feel them in a room going, "We need something else to complicate." You can just hear them talking.
Yeah.
That's how nakedly tacked in, basted in it is.
Yeah.
And this is ironic. According to Spielberg in an interview, they did, I think, 42 drafts. Not for the plot. He said he had a 55-page plot outline that they stuck with from before,
Wow.
but he brings in Daniel Kep, the no, sorry, not Daniel, David Kep,
Yeah.
famous screen guy, screen
Indiana Jones.
yeah, the guy who did yes, he's done Indiana Jones movies, he did the first Jurassic Park and a sequel or two, he's, in recent years he's been working with Steven Soderbergh a lot on pretty well received, small genre films like, Presence and Kimmy and Black Bag.
Mhm.
But now he's back back home with Spielberg on this. So the majority, according to Spielberg, of the drafts were for character development
Mhm.
that kept shifting, and they kept shifting even past the point where they cast it, because then the actors started bringing qualities in, and they kept adjusting for the actors.
Hmm.
So you're like, okay, that's the hell of filmmaking. You can the amount of work that goes in isn't necessarily what comes across on screen. So it's really an awkward scene for me too, where it's suddenly like it's just like baldly there, suddenly like
Yeah.
this whole religious theme just dropped with a thump.
Yeah.
And then she's suddenly like, "No, this is wrong. You do not have the right to share this information with the world. It will further destabilize the world, which is on the brink of world." It's just
Yeah.
it becomes Basil exposition in this scene. You're just like, "Oh, this is so painful. This is so painful," because it's just out of nowhere that she
Yeah.
objects in this way that you're like, okay, so presumably now she's going to try and sabotage him,
Mhm.
but then she doesn't on her own hook. It's because the Wardex guy has his own abilities to channel this an object. It's an alien object that if you can hold on to it, certain people can.
Mhm.
So this Scanlan guy can hold on to it and do the dive into someone else's mind. So he goes into her basically. Her eyes literally turn from blue to brown when she becomes the alien figure being taken over. And there she is digging her cross into her hand,
Yeah.
trying to restore her better self while they're programming her to like kill Daniel Kellner. And you're just like going, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. So I could see why they thought we need maybe another wrinkle here, because it may be too straightforward that he just has to get to this place and Margaret Fairchild has to get to him, and
Yeah.
they thought it needs something, but it's so nakedly it needs
It
something.
is.
And it's just a debate that I kept thinking they're gonna find a way to make it be pertinent, and for some reason, I'm just blanking on how it would be pertinent because it's not 1857. It's not a
Yeah.
current. I mean, in
Date.
my world, it
Yeah.
isn't a current thing.
Yeah.
I don't understand how it should exactly. I don't understand as they would have once, like how this might everything might challenge. Everything you could know might challenge the hierarchy that we got with God on the top.
Yeah.
Darwin is challenging, and everyone's challenging. It's Freud, everyone.
Yeah.
That once was a thing, and now it just seems like much less of a thing again if you're not an evangelical.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we just have to. It's one of those things, and there's a number of them, and then we were like, apparently, we just have to go with this, so we can get to her with the knife and waiting tensely for her to like kill him, and yeah, he doesn't know, and yada yada.
Yeah.
As part of the chase, as another layer of the chase. So you're like, okay, fine. And then there is the hilarity of the ultra naive, obviously deliberately ultra naive and childlike chase at aspects of like they would be caught. Come on.
Yeah.
But somehow you could just tell Spielberg wants this.
Mhm.
Was no reason not to put foliage so that the guy, the
I
Daniel Kellner
know.
running along the fence has some legitimate cover, that he has some reason to believe this is going to work,
Yeah.
other than sheer contrivance, naked contrivance. Not one of 25 agents has peripheral vision. Okay. So, okay, Spielberg he wants to embrace, and how half of his career is wanting to embrace naive, old style, action serial cinema. That's how
Yeah.
you got Indiana Jones in the first place.
Yeah.
So he's doing a lot of let's do old Spielberg. Just because I'm almost 80 and it'll be super fun.
Yeah.
And it mostly is super fun. It really is. A lot of it is. I found it very enjoyable, and I did have the kind of little nostalgia thing that clearly is a huge motivator here.
Mhm.
We live in a world now where cinema seems to be dying, or at least it's morphing into something that's virtually unrecognizable for those of us who have loved the cinematic experience for so long. And so to have it be summer again, and it's a Spielberg blockbuster again in an inaugural one, right as we move into summer, right before the summer solstice, is just like, oh, this was a thing for how long? Since Jaws. I mean, literally Spielberg did it. Jaws was such a colossal hit that it made the summer blockbuster phenomenon.
Yeah.
So again, he's quoting his own career. This is
Mhm.
a real legacy self-congratulation thing happening. All right. And people are going with it to the point that I have conversations where people are like, "How dare anyone not love this because it's Spielberg?" And I'm like, "I
Wow.
don't love Spielberg. I
Yeah.
love Jaws. I love Close Encounter, and Duel is great, I think, but early to me, the greatest of Spielberg never gets out of the '70s.
Mhm.
It is best then. It's because the era is helping him, I think.
Mhm.
It's a hugely bracing cinematic era. Not only is that all that political turbulence that leads to all of this kind of tough-minded resistance to conventional thinking and establishment power, that all helps, but he's also coming off of all a hugely inventive cinema stylistically. And there's a lot of rough-edged realistic effects that really did things for films that disappears. Once he goes into the '80s, no one gets slicker than Spielberg. He
Mhm.
goes right with the times in very deleterious ways, if you ask me.
Mhm.
But most people aren't asking me, and they are just like, "Oh, E.T. was the greatest movie of my life." To me, I was like, "You're caring about E.T. when The Thing and Blade Runner are playing right down the street and both flopping? What the hell terrible thing is happening in the culture?" I was one of those. But for me, Spielberg has always brought a really unfortunate Disney-fied corruption that I did not like, and he went right with it, and to me, he left his best qualities behind, but he's so skilled. He has such technical facility. He always had, as far as I can tell,
Mhm.
that you can't ignore him. He's too damn good technically. His editing is a dream. His editing is just mwah. He just can build a scene. His handling of mise en scène can be brilliant.
Mhm.
He's just his sound use can be super inventive. He's just really, really skilled, but he's got a sensibility that makes me wanna just yeah, mostly.
Ah!
We have this problem, obviously.
Yeah.
D.W. Griffith was the greatest filmmaker of his day,
Mhm.
but guess what else he was?
Right.
Someone enamored of the Southern aristocracy who was racist beyond yeah, all endurance, and, so you've got this terrible sensibility tied to the most amazing skill set cinema ever had,
Mhm.
and it's not a new problem in American film, unfortunately. So,
Yeah.
but still, just having to be here while cinema just contracts and shrivels, and it's just like, God, is there gonna be anything soon? Are there gonna be theaters? That kind of thing. It's hard not to be like, "Oh, I'm in a theater, air conditioning, popcorn, it's a big summer release." I can't help it, it takes me back in a way that I didn't absolutely hate.
Yeah.
So, very conflicted. When it
Yeah.
comes to, like, reading the film, it's so odd. We are noticing the same things, but we've just got different shadings. So, like, the actors that stood out more, and I think that the whole cast is, quite
Good.
good.
Yeah.
He's really benefiting from, actor skills. Um, I liked O'Connor much better than I liked
Wow!
Emily Blunt,
No
and
way!
I admit I'm in the minority. Everyone's raving about Emily Blunt, but she's
Okay.
literally been given a role. She's been given the role that's gonna generate kudos. She has to constantly be shifting. She has to suddenly be speaking fluent Russian in a perfect accent, or then speaking Korean in a perfect and then having psychic, readings of everyone she passes.
So
She's the one, and then going back to this flat Midwestern, you know, kind of
yeah.
she just has to be moving. Plus, her whole physical life, there's a whole conceit about her character. She senses she's due for big things. Something big's gonna happen to her. She thinks
Yeah.
maybe she's gonna become an anchor woman, but it's much bigger, of course. But she doesn't know. So she's so restless. The first scene, she can't sit still. She's just
Yeah.
in a constant state of moving, and her mind's flitting all over, and she can't find the thing that
Mhm.
is going to orient her life. And of course, it's going to be this alien things. So anyway, so she's just got the role that's going to get all the notice, and
Mhm.
Josh O'Connor's got a role kind of typical of, as you said, of stuff he does anyway. So
Mhm.
it's going to kind of pass under the radar. I just love his naturalism and his kind of softness and sweetness, which is so unusual in an actor who's been coming up fast and getting a lot of lead roles. It's not
It's
that
true.
typical.
No, not at
Um,
all.
I kind of he's really got like kind of jug-eared,
Yeah.
sweet, boyish, but it doesn't make me sick.
Yeah.
There's something always conflicted in him that he does
Yeah.
very, very well. He's just very
Yeah.
good. So I was much more fond of him than, of course she's Emily Blunt. She's super appealing.
Yeah.
I quite like Emily Blunt. And I'm like going, oh, she's fine. It's just that I'm never overwhelmed with, wow, she's just like, wow. I was not getting the
Wow.
uncanny. I thought I could see the gears shifting, but
Uh-huh.
still, fine.
Uh-huh.
Coleman Domingo, my heart went out to him. He has like the worst part.
It's
He
awful.
Oh my god, it's the worst. He has to just be on the phone urging Daniel Kellner to trust himself, and he'll get to where for some reason he can't tell him, I guess, because everything's spied on. I don't know why.
Yep.
He's just so poor Kellner's gotta find him somehow, and poor Margaret Fairchild has to find Daniel Kellner, and everything has to be woo-woo, psychic, you figure it out or whatever. But
Yeah.
then in the end, you think he's finally Coleman Domingo is gonna be able to do something, and he just pages of, like, explanation that's just all gobbledygook sentimentality, terrible. So
Yes.
the poor guy, he's just got nothing interesting to do whatsoever, but he's good enough. He sells it as well as anyone can?
Sure. That you're like,
Yes?
yeah, voice of authority.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and of a kind of higher compassion. He's like the
yeah,
king of the whistleblowers who's organizing all this, but he's also something more. It's like he's some sort of large-souled I don't even know what they're trying to make him be, but
don't know.
he's doing as well as any human could. He has a
Right?
wonderful voice, that helps, but you're just like, "Man, I'm sorry."
Yeah,
But thank God it was a huge payday, right? So, okay.
yeah, yeah,
And Colin Firth has to do the evil dude, which is kinda nice off casting, I guess,
yeah,
since
yeah.
he's usually, he was Mr. Darcy, we like Colin Firth, and here
Sure.
he's gotta be the evil corporate, CEO with
Yes.
underlying personal reasons why he's turned so evil, and you're like, he's fine,
Sure.
I guess. He does
It's that was such an old-fashioned character.
he
That
really was
really
old
stood out
school.
to me. I was like, "Huh." And
That
at
was
the end,
very 80s, it seems like.
yes.
Yeah.
And he's, like, morally, I don't know, persuaded by the end to, like, let
Yes. So,
the right thing, let disclosure happen.
let disclosure happen. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what he's fighting.
yeah.
Yes, so and you just have to kinda go it's a lot of all of that stuff to me just oof. How they
I
were looking at the footage, looking at the dailies and not seeing it was not working, I do not know. How they went to early screenings and didn't realize. To me, it was so manifestly not working. I'm like, "This is just like the air slowly leaking out of a tire." This whole thing is just not coming together. Um, and, if you wanna see something come together that has quite a few similar themes, you go to Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which has one of the great endings
Mhm.
where he leaves it all behind. He goes with the aliens and gets on the spaceship and says goodbye, and it's wonderfully done. Wonderful ending. This is like,
Okay, should we talk about it?
yeah, let's talk about the ending.
Yeah, I had the same impression. I was like, "Okay, they're bringing it home. I'm
Yeah.
ready to be moved," you know? So Emily Blunt goes to a local TV station where she's been working, right?
Mhm.
And they're gonna tell the world, they're gonna disclose.
Yeah.
And I did enjoy the part where the local network, through her powers of, like,
That was
psychic
cool.
persuasion.
It was
Yeah,
briefly cool. It was all exciting because it had to happen fast, and how she sort of can key into everyone and persuade them in a moment's notice that they have to do this thing that's a career-ending madness that they
yeah.
never would do if they were in their right minds. Yeah, that was nice.
It was great. So
Mhm,
she has to, like, hypnotize everyone into letting her go on air, and then the
mhm.
local station in Kansas City has to call the New York,
New York.
like, whatever, like, they're an affiliate, and they
Mhm,
gotta call the big whatever NBC office
mhm.
or something. And
Yeah,
then New York has got to call, if New York deems it worthy, then they cue in the BBC and
yeah.
all the major news outlets around the world. So that was very well done. That was an old-fashioned moment that felt very satisfying.
Mhm.
Everyone coordinating to make the news
This
happen.
happened, yeah.
Yeah. Um, and you're expecting some profound wisdom, I think, or I was, from
Mm.
aliens,
Yes,
from the
they cut their own throat by building it to the point that it can't have it has to have. It has to have. But go on.
Well, right. So this whole time you've been hearing whispers that the aliens are probably superior to us.
Mhm,
They certainly have superior technology, but more important for this film, they're morally superior. They're
mhm,
a civilization based in empathy, which they see as an evolutionary advantage.
mhm.
So we're like, okay, we're going to learn something profound
Yeah.
from this culture. It's been at least revealed to Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor through their, like, childhood encounters with these beings, and then Coleman Domingo into the loading dock brings a real life alien, like some, like, aging feminine alien
Mm.
that's in a kind
That's
of,
way taller than all the other ones for some reason.
yep, Yes, exactly. Yeah, all the other ones look like
or
little 3 feet men.
yeah.
And this one's really big, and she's in a kind of enclosed bubble, and they open the bubble, and it's almost like she's in a like some kind of wheelchair, or like, some kind of assisted
Mm-hmm.
device.
Yeah.
And they put her in front of the camera, and she like reveals, or I don't know if they put her in front of the camera, but she's brought to the soundstage,
Yes.
and she reveals something in the ears of the two chosen people, Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt, and they whisper to each other, and Emily Blunt goes on TV about to reveal the wisdom to the world, and she just says the word "listen," and then credits roll.
What?
And you're like, is that the fucking? Don't tell me that's the advice from the aliens. That's not good enough.
Oh
Or
no, clearly they did that thing where they're like, anything we could say could never match what you have in your mind, and I'm like, that's where you're wrong.
yeah,
There's nothing. The whole point is we're not at the alien level, so you have to find some approximation.
yes,
You have to. It's on you. You set it up. You put the gun in the first act. It's got to go off.
yeah,
And when it doesn't go off, the whole audience is like, "What? You
yeah.
cannot fuck the ending on a movie like this. It's all been all build up."
It was so fucked, and
It
I
was
I
so
made an audible noise of disappointment.
Oh, I did too. I was just like, "Oh, what?
Like,
This is the
oh,
dumbest." Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No.
that was really disappointing, especially for the sense, we all have that
Mm.
Spielberg has been thinking about this topic for decades. It's a
Yes.
it's a primary obsession.
Yes.
It's like, that's what you've learned from all of your meditation on this? Like, come on, man. Like,
You can't come up with a
pop out.
goddamn thing. You can't hire yourself a couple of consulting philosophers. You can't
Yeah.
come on. Tap some brain pool who can be like, or some religious pool. I don't care who. But for heaven's sake, you have to say something. Something must be said or done. Something. And it's
Yes.
just they got nothing in the end. And you're just like, yeah, that won't cut it. So it's such a weird experience in that way. It's the
Yeah.
last thing you're expecting is there will be a big nothing burger behind the curtain. You're just like, okay,
So lame.
that's lame. That's real lame. And again, David Kep, what the hell, man? I mean, he's so uneven. My God, he does for every film that makes a big mark. There's some crap Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I
Oh,
mean,
okay,
just
yeah.
he's all over the map. So.
Yeah. It's so interesting. But now I'm thinking of like, okay, there is a theme. Okay, Close Encounters, we go up in the spaceship at the end.
Yeah.
In Indiana Jones and the Holy Grail, the
Mhm.
knight like decides to stay in the weird Grail temple.
Mhm.
There's something usually about, I don't know, bowing away or the aliens or the Knights Templar or whatever. Like, there's some appealing alternative to what there is. And here I was excited because I was like, oh, he's gonna bring it to like our world,
Mhm.
but he doesn't.
Well, and
So
especially the buildup is especially because it's a very long sequence, and
yeah,
part of it before you get to that ending is just a montage of people, and they're all on their phones as we would be
yeah,
because it's all they're first all the files are released, so
yes,
everyone's though oddly enough the torture files that had such an impact before are not among them. So
yeah,
it's just we're seeing aliens, that aliens being pulled out of wreckage, aliens who are an alien or recovered alive. All they're watching. So everybody in the world is watching this
yeah,
happen, and all cities are like every location they cut to is stopped, as everyone just is stopped and
yeah,
is staring at their phones, and nobody knows what to say or think, or everyone. And there's a woman newscaster who's breaking, trying to narrate this and is breaking up, cracking, her voice is cracking and she's getting tearful, and it's supposed to be this huge overwhelming thing, so they've done so much to set that up. It's already had a big impact. So
yeah,
this is you come down to a kind of bring it, at least an indication of what's the bring it home. I
yeah,
think you're trying to imply this is going to have a big impact on people who are suddenly going to be like, I guess we don't want to do World War III. I
yeah,
guess we kind of this seemed like the implication is this is going to be powerful enough to make everyone take a big step back from the edge of the cliff that we keep, you know, driving ourselves toward. There's literally an edge of the cliff scene in the movie.
there you go.
And it's going to make everyone just be like, let's all take several steps back
Yeah,
and give this a think at the very least. So you're thinking this is gonna cement that. Whatever gets said, and it has to be a couple of lines. It can't be long, a couple of lines.
Yeah.
But someone's gotta write something that at least opens the mind a bit or gives an indication of what would lead, and there's just nothing there. So it's just like, "Oh, you can't get out of it like that. You just can't." But they did,
Oh,
which is a
yeah,
big, big shame. Yeah.
so
Yeah, and
sad.
you're right, for a guy who literally Spielberg has been on this case. I mean, he's seen everything. Supposedly the impulse. Let me tell you quickly, what the catalyst for this was immediate. I mean, he's been a lifelong follower of this subject, but he read a 2017 article published in the New York Times called "quote Glowing Auras and Black Money: The Pentagon's Mysterious UFO Program."
Mhm.
And he says because it was published in the Times after decades of like National Enquirer,
Mhm.
essentially, coverage of the whole space alien phenomena that had reduced it to this is for nobody but tinfoil hat wearers. Nobody
Yeah.
takes it seriously anymore. Even though periodically over the generations there had been sightings like whole towns, whole it's not like it would be one nutter out
Yeah.
on a lonely road. It would be like masses of people would see something that
Did you
gave
hear about
credence.
there was one in the Times just this week about the giant potato? I'm not even joking, over
Okay, I
Colorado
don't even know the
Springs.
giant potato one. What?
It was just this week. It was in the New York Times. There was this one was from Fort something military base, but
Mhm.
in 2022, I don't know why this was just disclosed as part of the Trump disclosures,
Yeah, that's
right?
something. Mhm.
Yeah. In 2022, there's a giant, like, I don't know, potato shaped orb
Mm,
floating over Colorado Springs or nearby. And potato shaped orbs have been sighted since like the 50s, and
mhm,
they just kind of shimmer and they appear stationary
mhm.
with, they have panels that are asymmetrical, but I don't know, this, and it's a, it's in a legitimate news source. So like there's so many sightings of unexplainable phenomena. Sorry,
Well,
just
there
to
are, and, that was what was, at least for a while, a little excitement about Trump, but he, of course, did for self-serving reasons, trying
yeah,
to deflect from all of his many
Epstein.
political nightmares,
Yeah.
that he was gonna drop a whole bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, if you look at any of it, at least so far, it's grainy, it's far away, it's blips, it's things. But if you have you ever followed it at all, there's remarkable testimony from, again, not only big groups of people, sometimes whole communities of people. And they're
Mhm.
all, again, the UFO definition, they've changed it now. I forget what the new name is, but it's such a regarded as UFO is regarded as such a tainted
Mm,
label. All it means is unidentified flying object. That's all it
yeah,
means. We don't know what it is, but it got taken to be, oh, you believe in little green men, yada yada. So they've changed it to something else now that's more technical sounding. But at any rate, there's so like pilots, like military, but like people who are just they're flying all the time. They're not typically going to be credulous about
mhm,
stuff. Are just like, I don't know what's hovering over me, and then hovering next to me, and then underneath me, and we don't have aircraft that does this. There's
yes,
lots of that stuff if you even wade in up to your ankles.
yes,
So again, he's a long time obsessed, but he did say it was this story that re-engaged him all over again because suddenly this isn't National Enquirer stuff. This is like legitimate, arguably anyway.
mhm,
News source taking this seriously. So now I can delve back in to
mhm,
something it's always obsessed him. So that's how he got into this. He said, for example, he was being interviewed and someone said, "Well, why did you?" If you look at Arrival, for example, there was a very imaginative way of demonstrating what alien life might look like. It
yeah,
would not be humanoid, little
mhm,
green or little gray men or all that jazz. And she asked him, "Well, why didn't you ever decide to do that?" Because he's sticking with, you know,
mhm,
the little gray man.
yeah,
And he's like, because almost all the sightings, like internationally, there's a tremendous commonality. The giant eyes, often
oof,
they're gray and they're small, they have big heads. He's like, I had to go with that's how much he's into this. He wouldn't just make
wow,
up. He'd be like, nope, this is what the reports tend to say. So,
yeah,
so that's a kind of dedication that he's got to this particular topic.
yeah, no, that's fascinating. I mean, okay, what do you so this is my jaded
Mm.
opinion. I mean, I don't I, if I got proof of alien life, I suspect probably aliens exist.
Oh, yeah,
Probably.
to me, it doesn't seem that hard to I've never thought it was that hard to believe.
Yeah.
Why is that any harder to believe than it's hard to believe that we're all by ourselves in a gigantic solar system? That seems weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Anyway.
I wonder what it really does change. I mean, of course, I'm curious to know about their like civilizations and worldviews and,
Mhm.
how they work and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't, does it radically alter any like foundations of our thought?
Well, see, and that's what I thought was interesting. I could imagine it once would've
Mm-hmm.
in a more
Medieval
widespread way.
Europe.
I think there were traditional certainties in a lot of most cultures anyway that held for a long time. It seems to me we are well past that. It just
Right?
also doesn't have any valence for me whatsoever. I'm just like, "No, I have no investment in it's gonna shake up my whole belief system." I
Yeah.
People have stable belief systems? No, I'm amazed by that. I'm amazed anyone can sustain it. I mean, obviously they do. There are people, I think Catholic numbers are up internationally, not in the United States, but
Hope Leo's
internationally.
based.
Yeah, yeah. So there's it's not like people aren't still religious and serious and practitioners, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm sure it's just for those of us who live in a certain way that religion just stopped having
Yep.
any you stopped living in a faith-based world. It's just hard to even get my mind around the idea that this is gonna be like a huge, "We shouldn't know this." At
Right.
this point, we know things that are so appalling, are so awful, are so brain-shreddingly terrible. Finding out about aliens would be a pleasant day for me.
Right. It's like hope, like, oh, maybe there's another way,
Yeah, maybe
you
there's a
know?
whole other civilization that's better than ours. That'd be good. That'd be
Yeah.
good. That'd be good. Yeah,
Not so
so
violent.
it does seem very old-fashioned in that way. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know that, and then I there's the ending to or the penultimate sequence at the when Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt find each other,
Yeah.
and Colbin Domingo and
Oh, yeah,
resistance
yeah,
crew pick them up, right?
yeah,
In
yeah.
a fire truck, in a fire engine.
Yeah,
They are the resistance has the pro alien resistance
yeah,
has recreated Emily Blunt's home from
yeah,
when she was a young girl, I think 9 or 10, and first encountered the alien. She
yeah.
was abducted. And that was deeply puzzling to me. It seemed like Spielbergian nostalgia just for the sake of it, like a childhood bedroom, which is very obviously emotional for almost anyone,
Yeah.
Um, and it was interesting for a couple reasons. I mean, the conceit is that they believe in order for her to understand her psychic talents and her
Mhm.
purpose, she has to mentally return to the moment of contact where the aliens apparently revealed some knowledge to her. Um
Well, and it's grounded on the logic that she's blocked. She's so traumatized she can't remember it, and
right.
somehow she has to remember it in order to I'm forgetting
Move
what.
forward in her
Move
power.
Yeah, to access her for full power. It's
Yeah.
not clear why he isn't in the same he's more terrified than she is when
Yeah,
this happens, so it's not clear why they don't have to recreate his home.
exactly.
I don't
That
know.
was so odd. So, the idea is like she's given the power to understand humanity. That's
Right.
her.
That is why. You're right, that's why. Because he only needs to know he's the math and what's the other thing he is? Math and something.
Well,
Math
yeah,
and
he's understood the aliens' language of
yes,
mathematics.
mathematics, that's right.
Yeah.
That is his thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is and that isolated him when he started I don't know, like becoming really understanding what he knew because no one
Mhm.
else did,
Yeah.
he would see like fully formed equations in his mind. When
Mhm.
Emily Blunt's character spoke the weird clicking language,
Yes.
he
He could
saw it
understand.
as
Yeah.
a math equation and translated it in his mind to
Yeah.
English, so whatever,
Yeah.
no one else is having these experiences, but there was a lot of time spent there in that childhood bedroom, and I was
Yeah.
like, for why, except just
Because we know for why.
Spielberg.
We know for Spielberg, all that really matters, I sometimes swear,
Yeah.
is white suburbia of the 1950s
Yep.
in the
Or
middle class
70s or 80s now
or
because
70 or 80, but, it
yeah,
always has this quality of going back to 50s,
yeah,
it's just got little tchotchkes and things that remind you of it could be anywhere in there, kind
In the
of
20th
the
century.
traditional middle class suburban America.
Yeah.
And anything that disrupts that scenario, that childhood, is the root of all goddamn evil. And it's like I used to hate him for this reason. It was like for him, divorce was like no,
Mhm.
almost like I can't even say that because that's not true. There's nothing worse that could happen. I'm just like, and I'd sit in the audience going, "I so beg to differ, man. I mean, you're really pumping this up." It's like, and it's autobiographical. This is his own. If you go watch, the Fablemans movie, at least his youth is disrupted by his parents' split, and he just can't get past it. Oh, he talks about it again in this interview where he's like, he was estranged from his father. The fundamental like relationship, he relates it to the chasing of the Holy Grail in Indiana Jones is something to do with recovering that central paternal relation. I'm just like, man, you are just
Wow.
hung up on certain the family unit, the nuclear family unit is the be all end all. And so as soon as we got to that goddamn bedroom, as soon as I saw the house, I was like, could
Yep.
she not have lived in an urban apartment? Do we always have to go back to
Yep.
the middle class suburban home in Heartland, America? And it fits Spielberg. The answer is yes.
Okay.
Somehow it's all there, and then it's just filling in. I swear to God, it's probably not true, but I feel like he would have pulled something like that on David Koepp. It has to be the house, and you get me there. I don't care how that would have been a very Hitchcock thing to do too. All I know is it has to be this,
Yeah.
and you have to get me there. It has to be a library that's about to close, and a young woman is racing to get. I don't know how you get me there, and that's for Shadow of a Doubt. He literally
Right.
did that. Hitchcock
Right.
and Thornton Wilder's like, you can't write like that. He's like, you gotta write like that. So it has that feeling of sickening inevitability when you finally get to the warehouse, which the whole movie is a chase scene to get there, the safe space. And there's that goddamn house. I was like, it's ET all over again.
Yep.
Or, what do you call it? The horror movie Poltergeist. Or, we're
Yes.
always back to it. We're always back to the house. So anyway.
Yeah. This time it felt, I don't know. It was moving because that's an easy way to move someone,
Yeah, yeah.
but it was also puzzling and it felt a little unearned. I was like, I don't feel this close to this character necessarily, even though I'm really enjoying her.
Hmm.
And I know nothing about her childhood, so it's not like she's. I mean, they mentioned some bad dreams that she's had,
Yeah,
but it's not
and that
like
she can't remember. Neither of them can remember much before age whatever, whenever they
9 or
were
10.
initially abducted by aliens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was another like weirdly unearned thing, and then there's one like another dangling question mark. In the film, the aliens come to to O'Connor and Blunt as animals,
Oh, yes,
and
that's another factor.
you're like, oh, okay, and you think that's going to become some big deal, and it's going to be like explained. It's not really explained. It's just like, well, they do that because they don't want to scare
They don't
you.
wanna scare you. So, yes. So, all of a sudden, a bird comes up to you and stares at you meaningfully, and you have to
Yeah,
lock eyes with it, and you can't they explain all this. There's too much having to explain all this. That's screenwriting 101. You
yeah,
can't have to have people coming in constantly going, "Oh, by the way, footnote, this is blah 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 has to happen each time you encounter an animal, and it's an alien, and then, so it's like
yeah.
an elk and a fox and
Cardinal, yeah.
CGI doers in Hollywood. For God's sake, could you get the animal thing down? Is it that impossible? How many years have we had CGI? You
Yeah,
still can't do it. That
yeah.
fox was a travesty. I was just like, come on. Come on. How many years on? And Spielberg was a pioneer in this field. And I'm just like, it still doesn't look like a living fox.
Yeah.
Ah! So anyway, small peeve of mine, but I was like, I find it unbelievable. Is it just because, notoriously they're not paid enough and they're rushed? So,
Yeah.
but this is a Spielberg film on a massive budget. Surely you could have thrown a couple of extra bucks, given a little extra time to the CGI crew. Come on. So,
It
man.
it was so I mean, you think it's gonna come together, like, there's a really dramatic
Yeah,
scene where Emily Blunt, like, gets her powers from the cardinal, and
from the
then
Cardinal.
in this like childhood regression, the aliens appear as like four animals in her bedroom and they walk her to the alien ship and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is going to come back in some interesting way. That's it. That's all you
Oh,
ever
yeah,
hear.
there's nothing. There's
Like
nothing. Oh, that's true. I mean, there were real holes, there were real problems at the script level that all those 42 drafts
yeah,
did not address.
bizarre. And then you're like, okay, what happens to Jane, the novitiate who's in love with Josh O'Connor? Like, what happens to these people? You don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean,
Yeah,
she manages to fight. I guess the point was she manages to fight off the worst impulse. She stabs her own hand instead of killing him in
yeah,
that early scene. And I
yeah,
think from then on, isn't that kind of just okay,
yeah.
fine. And then you just show them kind of getting together. He puts his arm around her in the end and like, all right. I
I
guess
guess
they're
that's
together
enough.
now. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
You know, nothing much happens with her character. So she's another actor you feel a little sorry for. Not only because you're
yeah.
right, she looks a little off-putting in a way that is hard to. I thought it was because it was a naive cue that she what really was going to go to the dark side and that we weren't supposed to
Oh,
bond too much with her. I kept thinking, "Oh, that's got to be what it is."
yep,
And that's totally not what it is. And by the way, just a quick shout out. In the first Indiana Jones, Karen Allen, much respect, had dark hair, and
yeah.
everyone loved her and adored her. And she didn't pay enough respect to Steven Spielberg. She said something vaguely sort of dissy, I guess, in an interview, and he never forgave her. That's why she didn't get to come back from the sequel, and that's why we got Kate Capshaw, who's
Ugh,
terrible,
who's
and
terrible?
she became the second Mrs. Spielberg, and yada yada. So
Yeah.
anyway, shout out to Karen Allen and the career you should have had because you were great.
Oh, that's so
Terrible.
sad. I was
Oh,
thinking
very
about that, the Spielberg woman, and I was like,
yes.
oh, okay.
'Cause
It,
she didn't match she was not the typical, I guess you could say, the Spielberg one. She was really tough and smart and fun, and that was the whole character,
yeah.
and then suddenly she was gone. Yeah, terrible, terrible. Yeah.
And in this one, it was interesting. It was like, Emily Blunt's character had a real, like forward momentum
Yes,
character. But it's like she had to split it and then there was someone who was just the chick, and that's Jane,
and
you
that's
know?
Jane,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
And you keep thinking because there's 2 sets of, kind of girlfriend, boyfriend, so she's got her own
yep,
maybe betrayer boyfriend.
yep.
Played by which I didn't know. What's his name again? Wyatt Russell. He's the son of Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell.
No way.
Which I was like, oh, nepotism much, but all right.
Yeah,
So he's the boyfriend who's always a problem. I mean,
yeah,
he'll sort of smile and seem affable and seem like he's being support, and he's constantly undercutting her, even from the beginning, even before any alien stuff comes up. So this guy's a problem, and he's going to betray her in the end, and he
yeah,
does. So there's this odd shot when they're doing, all this montage of reaction where he sees her doing the disclosure, and you see him give this fatuous smile, and I was like, "What? Why is that a shot?" It's just like, are we just going back to
right.
touch base to a character who's gone? Nobody cares what happens to that
I
guy
know, exactly,
after
exactly.
he's
They're not
betrayed
gonna
her.
like end up together. It was so weird.
So there's this twinning of each one has a somehow unsatisfactory other that also teases the idea they might get together. But you're right, they're two brother sister. They're
Yeah,
two for it to go that we can't go that way. That would be too weird and pat anyway. So yeah,
definitely.
so the Jane character has to somehow be brought along, but she doesn't have much of anything to do
No.
after fairly early point. So that is a little awkward. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it was so that was really weird. I was like, what is up with the female characters in this? It's just like
Yeah.
I've never seen that configuration. It's like Emily Blunt is okay, that's a more contemporary, fuller character, but then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, but you did need the chick character from the old movies
Yeah.
and
You
you
had to
just
have
threw
someone
that
be
in
the chick.
there.
Chick.
Yeah.
I hadn't even thought of it at the time. I just kept feeling like this is odd. How are they going to resolve these couples? This just
Yeah.
seems like there's I don't know. This
Yeah.
isn't a typical structure. I kept feeling,
No.
yeah.
Also, Emily Blunt is like 8 years older than Josh O'Connor, and they're
Is that
supposed to be
right?
like the
Because
same age.
I keep thinking he's so young, but is it just that he looks so young? I actually need to. I meant to look up how old
I'll
he
look it
actually
up, but
is.
I'm pretty sure he's like,
He's younger because she's got to be
yeah.
40, right?
She's like no, she's like 45.
Oh, is
He-
she? Oh, she
Yeah,
looks so great. It's hard
she's
to
my
tell.
age at least. Okay, he's
Okay.
36 years old.
Oh, okay. So he's much younger. Okay.
Oh, she's 43.
Okay, 43.
Yeah,
Not that
so
much
7
younger.
years older. Yeah.
Okay.
I
Oh.
I mean, it's they it's fine, but they were portrayed as the same age
Mhm.
in the film as
In the
children.
film. Yeah, yeah. Or their
Yeah,
children together basically on the spaceship.
yeah,
Yeah, yes, holding hands in
yeah.
terror. Yes, and why they were so terrified, it's that's another weird thing. I was like, "Wait a minute. Why aren't the aliens who are the figures of compassion like, comforting them and everything else?" You
Right.
don't see that. They're just having to hold on to each other in terror. So I was like, "I don't get well, I don't know. We're doing both things. We're almost doing anal probe aliens here, which
Yes,
sounds bad,
exactly.
but there's some sort of experiment. Something's happening to them, and
Yeah.
and and then they turn out to be the figures of ultimate compassion. So I don't know. He didn't
You
resolve
were
that one either, but
confused.
okay. You know, uh, yeah, it's a problem.
It would
But
like, it's worth I'm sorry, go for
oh,
it, go
no,
ahead.
it's totally worth going. I've been telling people, "Oh, yeah, just as a summer movie, it's not brought off entirely, but the chase parts, there are parts that are super, fun to watch."
Yeah.
Just because, again, super high skill level, very, very good at audience emotion, manipulation, he's really, again, huge skills, huge, almost Hitchcock level skills of just getting you to feel a certain way that and he can just make it happen through cutting, through the way he shoots, through all that jazz. So that's
Yeah.
always fascinating to watch. Like, wow, he really knows how to do that stuff. Just technically, he's very, very brilliant. It's just, again, tied to a problem sensibility. I mean, I've read some things that are trying to make fairly large claims, for what's going on. There's one, about Disclosure Day, as where did I find it? Oh, it's in Salon. Oh, I'm forgetting the name of the person. But it's a Salon kind of commentary more than a review, and it compares the Disclosure Day to War of the Worlds,
Huh.
and which I hated War of the Worlds. It was the peak of my I hate Tom Cruise. And
Oh, the
his
Tom Cruise, not like Orson Welles.
Oh, no, it was
Okay.
Spielberg's 2005 version of the
Yeah.
War of the Worlds, and Tom Cruise was playing a very blue collar guy, and he just I don't know, he'd been famous too long, he'd been rich too long, he just didn't look like any blue collar guy ever, and
Yeah.
I'm somewhat of an expert, having been raised in that environment, so I was just like, he's fresh from the gym,
Yeah.
and the hairdresser.
Yeah.
Nope. You can't just put him in a hoodie and sell that, sorry. So I really, perhaps unreasonably, I should probably go look. I've never seen it again since it came out. But anyway, this person is talking about how I didn't even know this or realize it at the time. That War of the Worlds was explicitly envisioned by Spielberg as a response to 9/11.
Hmm.
So I'll just quote quickly. War of the Worlds brutally dismantles the widely peddled notion that America would be stronger following 9/11, treating it as a propaganda used to mollify citizens and encourage unwavering support of George Bush's war on terror. Quote from Spielberg, we live under a veil of fear that we didn't live under before 9/11. He said that while promoting the film. There has been a conscious emotional shift in this country. In Spielberg's eyes, another disaster would cause the stalwart nationalism to crumble when faced with a legitimate mass threat to human life. Many people would abandon mutuality and compassion in favor of self-preservation, and he winds up arguing that the Disclosure Day is on a continuum, from the logic of War of the Worlds.
Hmm.
I was much more focused on how the continuum from Close Encounters of the Third, just because I like that better and I know it better. Um, Okay, so he goes on to talk about how this film, Disclosure Day, is a kind of follow-up to COVID a few years ago, and that
Hmm.
it's just pushed us further down this path where we've gotten to a disaster, with there's also the phones and all the technology that's further estranged everyone, and this plea comes out of. It's supposed to evoke all of our disasters, which, it's vague enough in it's gonna be World War III that,
Sure.
it doesn't I don't think it did particularly great work, maybe that's
Mhm.
me, in nailing in a kind of topicality that other lots of films are doing now. That,
Right.
we're in an era of pandemics and, genocides and chaos, government chaos, climate disaster. We've got so many disasters coming at us. We don't know which way to turn.
Yeah.
I didn't think it did a particularly good job of conveying that.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, the World War III thing that this was gonna solve, I guess, be bigger than, was, I think, because it was unspecific. We were just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you just it's like,
Yeah,
again, it has that quality of, "We're just gonna lay this in here
yeah,
so that people can evoke it later," saying, "We
yeah.
can't have any more chaos, like, from finding out about aliens because we got this World War III thing happening," and there's Emily Blunt suddenly coming up to the what is it? The Korean, I forget,
Yes.
president? Prime
I don't know
minister?
who he is.
I'm
Some
forgetting.
spokesperson.
They identify him. He's about to be interviewed, but it's clearly a World War III, some sort of urgent thing, and she suddenly knows Korean and steps in and helps translate a word he's using, and
Yeah.
you get the kind of this kind of international negotiations can hang on the understanding of a word that's been being badly translated, which is probably
Yes.
true, which is probably another reason why we're all doomed.
Yeah.
So, but you'd have to do that extrapolation work for yourself. I don't think the film is particularly doing a good job with it. It's just
Yeah.
using that as a placeholder. Let's say we've gotten to the World War III brink
Right.
and carry on from there.
Right.
Otherwise, it seems very old America, though ironically, I don't know if you were aware, it's all wet Midwestern stuff. They're supposed to be in Indiana, which that's a throwback to, it's Close Encounters is set in Indiana.
Ah,
And then they're in Kansas City, Missouri for part of it. They're on a chase, so they're on a bunch of states, but I think it's all supposed to be Midwestern as far as I can tell.
yeah, I guess you're right.
But it's all shot in eastern states. It's all New York, New Jersey, Atlanta. I could not tell. I wasn't paying enough attention to the landscape. But someone else who knew the Midwest was like, "Oh my God, it's
Ah!
obviously." I was like, "Oh, I didn't even notice."
I think there is supposed to be one farm that's in the East, like Maryland or
Oh, is that
something.
right? So there is
Yeah,
fun.
but that's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
I
didn't
wasn't at
really
all
help it.
sensitive to
Nope.
to place.
Didn't know.
Yeah, but again, it's worth it. He's almost 80.
Yeah.
It's amazing, I guess, that he's still, it's a brutal job at directing. I don't care how much they cater to you. It's still 9 million people peppering you with questions, creative
Yeah.
decisions you have to make every goddamn day. Why anyone wants to do it, I've always said, what a miserable job. But people want to do it, and he's been doing it for many, many years. And he's very peppy. I mean, in interviews, it's kind of shocking.
Yeah.
He's in very good shape. Wow.
Well, go enjoy those car chases. Just like,
Yeah, get a lot out of the car chases. They're super,
yeah.
super fun. Yeah,
The
that
the
train one.
logic of the story is gonna be a little have some holes in it and just embrace it.
Just enjoy it.
Get right with it.
There's not another really big one, I think, until Odyssey in mid July.
Oh
I'm
my
not particularly
god.
looking forward to it. I can't stand Christopher Nolan, but
I hate Christopher Nolan. That
yeah,
is gonna be so lame. And I love the Odyssey, like, bring it, but, like, come on.
it's
This is gonna
already
be
such a weird looking Odyssey. I'm already like going, really?
it's so perfect because my biggest gripe with Nolan is always too much plot, and this is, like, the birth of narrative. You know? And I'm like, "You bastard, you're so obsessed with plot," but okay, you
Okay,
know?
but he's
Yeah.
already got Matt Damon as Odysseus and Anne Hathaway as Penelope, and I'm just
Love,
going,
I'm excited for that. I'm
really?
excited.
Don't
Yes.
you think she's wrong in every way?
No.
Oh my god. Well, we'll
She's very
see.
faithful. She will sit by the hearth.
All right. You know more about the Anne Hathaway score. I'm just like, she seems like such a modern person, but okay.
Well, she's got a certain I won't say timeless, but our idea of timeless beauty that I think kind of works.
No,
And
well,
she's
all right.
ultra feminine,
Yeah, that's for sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That's the least of my worries.
Well, just I hadn't realized she was in it until I just saw the preview before Disclosure Day, a new one. I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh my," 'cause I'd seen Matt Damon was in it, and I was like, "What?" So,
yeah, yeah.
anyway,
Woo,
it's
it's gonna suck. Can't
it's
wait.
gonna suck, I believe, hugely.
Yeah.
So, we will look back fondly in July on Disclosure Day.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
All right. Well, I think unless you've got another brilliant thought.
No, I just have one word of advice from the
Yeah.
aliens. Just kidding. That's
Yeah.
you have to find it for yourself.
You just exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
It's if you what is it, the line in Wizard of Oz? If you
Right.
didn't know it if you didn't know it already, you should have that memorized.
Well, it's a weird line. It's funny that you bring it up. This could
Yeah.
be a whole episode. if I ever go looking for my heart's desire
Yes.
again, I won't look any further than
In
my
my
own
own
backyard.
backyard, because if it
Because
isn't
if it isn't
there,
there, I never really
you
lost it
lost
to
it in the
begin with.
to begin with, and you're like
Don't think
going,
about that too hard.
so mind screwing when
Yeah.
you're a kid and you're like, but wait
Wait
a
a
minute, she's
minute.
gonna, again, you're waiting the whole movie to get to the wizard, and even if he's revealed as not the Titanic wizard, he seems a warm and compassionate man who might have some wisdom to offer, and then he tries to say that, and then she's just like, oh, I guess he just puts it all on her. Well, what did you learn, Dorothy? And he's
Right.
just like,
Well, I
well, there's nothing to learn. It was all back there in my backyard. And as I need to remind everyone to ruin their lives, she's going to go right back there. And the Toto question is not solved by any means.
nope. Nope. He is in the shot. I believe he's in the final
He's in
shot.
the shot. Oh, she's
Yeah.
definitely in the shot. She's
Yeah.
looking to the heavens, and you're like, please, God, do something. Because
I know.
her family
Save
can't.
her.
They're too poor. Oh, my God. Anyway, I shouldn't have brought
That's a
that up.
different. Yeah.
It's too moving. It's horrible. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're gonna end it here, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it for our episode entitled, what do we call it again? We called it Nostalgia. Disclosure Day. Nostalgia for the Summer Blockbuster, which is definitely a factor. We thank you, dear listeners, and of course, triple thanks to our subscribers who keep us in popcorn and air conditioning, which we love. If you're not a subscriber yet, but you like what you hear, please consider signing up with Patreon for all the Filmsuck content instead of just the half that's available to the public currently. And it's also now available, half of it, to view on YouTube, including this one. You can follow News of the Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Join us in 2 weeks for more raucous Filmsuck conversation. Until then, we wish you happy viewing, everyone. Bye now.
Bye.